Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into some really powerful texts, sources that give us both incredible human drama and, well, deep spiritual guidance.
Exactly. We're looking at these core themes, things like divine revelation, but popping up where you least expect it, and leaders who come from surprising places, plus this really radical call to mission.
Right. And we'll be pulling from, well, quite a range, from this intense family story in Genesis all the way to direct words from Jesus himself.
That's the plan.
So our mission here in this deep dive is really to pull out the key insights. What do these texts tell us about our relationships, about divine providence, and what does it actually mean to share a message of peace and truth without needing all the material stuff?
Good questions. Ones that really resonate today, I think.
Let's start with Genesis then. That scene, it's incredibly dramatic. Judah steps up, pleading with Joseph for Benjamin.
Yeah, the tension is palpable.
You can almost feel the weight in Judah's words. He's recounting how their old father, Jacob, is just so attached to Benjamin.
Yeah.
The only son left from Rachel, Joseph's mother, since they all thought Joseph was dead. And Judah repeats Jacob's specific fear. He says, if Benjamin is taken too, it would literally send my white head down to the netherworld in grief.
Oof. It's just raw. Utterly raw emotion and family history laid bare.
And this plea, this desperate love for family, it's what breaks Joseph.
Completely. He just loses it. The text says he couldn't control himself anymore.
And it's loud, right? He cries so loudly the Egyptians hear him. Even Pharaoh's palace hears about it.
Right. But here's a fascinating detail. Despite that public display of emotion, his first move is to order everyone else out.
Yeah.
He needs that moment of revelation to be just between him and his brothers. That private, intense confrontation, it's key.
So imagine in that room, everyone leaves.
Yeah.
Silence.
Yeah.
And then Joseph says it.
All right.
I am your brother, Joseph.
Whom you once sold into Egypt.
Just devastatingly direct.
Well.
And the brothers. The text says they were dumbfounded. Couldn't even speak at first.
Well, you can imagine the shock, the guilt crashing down, their past just staring them in the face.
Overwhelming, surely.
But what's truly amazing, I think, is Joseph's immediate next step. How he interprets it all.
Yeah, he doesn't dwell on the blame, does he?
Not at all. He reassures them straight away. Don't be distressed, he says. Don't reproach yourselves for selling me here.
Which is incredible forgiveness, but it's more than that.
It is. It's like he's reframing the whole narrative. He's not ignoring the hurt, but he's pointing to something bigger. He says, it was really for the sake of saving lives that God sent me here ahead of you.
Wow. Seeing a divine plan through their wrongdoing.
Exactly. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What does it take for us to look at our own hurts, our own traumas, and see maybe a flicker of purpose or a higher hand in it?
That's a deep question. And this personal story, Joseph's perspective, it connects to something bigger, like in Psalm 105.
Right. The psalm kind of zooms out, gives this broader view. It reinforces that God's hand was in it all along.
From the famine.
God calling down a famine. To Joseph being sent ahead, sold into slavery, put in chain.
Yeah, fettered and chained. But then, here's where it gets really interesting, as he said.
His interpretation, his prediction, it comes true. And the psalm says, the word of the Lord proved him true.
Leading to his release. His elevation. Suddenly, he's ruling over Pharaoh's house, his possessions.
It paints this picture of, well, divine orchestration, turning suffering into salvation, from personal pain to a grand rescue.
So Joseph's story gives us this powerful individual example of being sent, of divine purpose unfolding through hardship.
A really compelling one.
But what happens when that idea of being sent moves from one person's life story to an urgent universal command?
Now we're shifting gears.
Exactly. We find that in the Gospels, Mark and Matthew, with this proclamation, the kingdom of God, or heaven, is at hand.
Right. And here, Jesus gives his apostles really specific instructions,
Right.
Very practical.
He empowers them, doesn't he?
Very much so. Cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, drive out demons. These aren't just suggestions, they're commands. Actions that demonstrate the kingdom's power.
Tangible acts of healing and deliverance.
Which raises another important question for us, maybe. What does it mean to be given abilities like that? Or perhaps to be the instrument for that kind of power?
And tied to that power is this, well, really striking instruction about material things. It kind of sets the whole tone.
It really does.
Without cost you have received, without cost you are to give.
Fundamentally changing the economy of the mission, you could say.
And the list of what not to take is so detailed. No gold, silver, copper. Not even for your belt? No travel bag, no spare tunic, no sandals, not even a walking stick.
Basically nothing. Just go.
So what does that mean? He does say the laborer deserves his keep, but this level of detachment, what's the core message there?
Well, I think it goes beyond just simple living. It's about radical trust. Trust in God's provision completely. Not relying on your own resources, your savings, your stuff. Your authority comes from the message, not your wallet.
Okay.
And the instructions continue, right? Find a worthy person in town, stay with them, offer peace to that house.
But there's a flip side, too.
Oh, definitely. A stark contrast. Right. If a place doesn't welcome them, doesn't listen.
What then?
Go outside that house or town and shake the dust from your feet. It's a symbolic act of, well, judgment, separation.
And Jesus doesn't mince words about the consequences.
Not at all. He makes this incredibly powerful comparison. It will be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah on the day of judgment than for that town.
Wow. That puts serious weight on receiving the message. The stakes are incredibly high.
It underlines the gravity of the kingdom proclamation. It's not trivial.
So we have Joseph's story, this divine plan unfolding through one life. Then we have the disciples sent out with this urgent, radically simple mission. And these ancient threads, they seem to come together in a more modern reflection, this idea of sharing God's peace.
Yeah, it acts like a synthesis, bringing those ancient commands into a sort of daily call to mission for us now.
It even quotes Psalm 67, doesn't it? May God be gracious to us and bless us and make his face shine on us.
So that your ways may be known on earth, your salvation among all nations. It connects God's blessing directly to the mission of making his ways known.
So the reflection really picks up on the themes we've seen.
Absolutely. It stresses that same urgency, that simplicity Jesus talked about, echoing the instructions to the apostles.
And the trust aspect.
That's central. The reflection emphasizes trusting God to provide, not chasing material gain. And crucially, faithfully representing Christ, being an instrument of his peace and truth.
Which leads to that core message from the reflection you mentioned.
Yeah.
That our actions and words must always reflect the message of God's mercy and truth.
Exactly. And that's where it gets really interesting, I think. It takes these dramatic narratives, these ancient, almost severe instructions, and lands them right in our laps today.
Makes them actionable, not just historical.
Precisely. So if you look at the whole arc, Joseph being sent, facing hardship, but fulfilling a divine purpose, and the apostles being sent out, proclaiming the kingdom, healing, with nothing but trust.
Right.
The common thread seems to be about being, well, instruments of God's purpose, delivering healing, hope, peace, and doing it with trust in something bigger than yourself, not in what you own.
Giving freely because you've received freely.
That sums it up beautifully.
So this deep dive, it feels like we've connected these dots. Ancient stories about personal purpose, finding echoes in this universal call to mission.
A mission centered on peace, healing, truth.
Given without expecting payment, trusting you'll be provided for.
Yeah, and we've seen the power that comes from trusting that bigger plan, even when things look, frankly, terrible.
Yeah.
Like Joseph in prison or the disciples facing rejection.
It definitely invites us to think about our own part in all this, doesn't it? How we share what we've been given.
It does.
So, for you listening, after exploring all this, what does it mean for you right now in your own world?
Maybe something to ponder is this. If our task, our mission, is somehow to reflect God's mercy and truth, to bring peace, who in your life today might need to see or hear a sign of that peace through you?